out of the house. Well, where did they?
I'm just telling you what he says the team doctor said.
He said the team doctor said get out of the house.
Why would doctors if he has the flu?
Because he doesn't. I don't think it was not that he was still dealing with flu symptoms. It's that he was still contagious.
I think the assumption was, I think they meant get out. Don't just lay in bed. Maybe get up out of bed. Try to walk
listen, neither one of us was there.
Not go out with your friends and go bowling at 2:51.
Okay, let me just ask.
So get out of the house till 1 in the morning.
Well, I don't know, Coach.
I mean, most doctors do that.
Would dinner have been okay?
What's that?
Honest question. Would dinner have been okay? Going out to dinner.
Not till 1 a.m.
I mean, I'd feel badly for the other people in the restaurant if he was really that contagious. I don't know. I mean, maybe the doctor's saying go quarantine, infect everybody else except us. Okay. That's not very nice.
Hey, I'm happy for him.
It's just been a bad marriage all the way around.
He's been...
Yeah, and I'm not putting all the blame. No,
he's been one of the leaders.
Fine, I'm talking about on the field.
Oh, they've been really
3 yards of carry. Yeah. I'm not putting it all on him, but I know he wishes he was.
How about that?
Pittsburgh. I know he wishes Pittsburgh.
251. That's a hell of a score.
Imagine if he didn't have the flu. Would he try 252 or?
Well, he said that's his career high.
Yeah, that's amazing. Really happy.
Le'Veon Bell's flu game. How about that?
Okay.
Back to the Cowboys now, who on paper should be a perennial powerhouse. And while paper beats rock, it doesn't beat the other teams on your schedule. Dallas currently riding a 3-game losing streak, failing to hold on to their lead in the NFC East, now tied with the Eagles. You can choose who's to blame for the 6-7 mess, the players, the coach, the owner, or you can ask Troy Aikman. Listen to what he had to say.
It's unlikely that Jerry will ever bring somebody in that can help this football team in that regard, just because he's been real stubborn and steadfast and that he's the one in charge. And I think in a lot of ways, until that changes, this team's going to have some problems.
When you can cut out the person between the decision maker and the people doing the recommending, then you can make quicker, more succinct, and more responsive decisions. Nobody ever has had the final say but me. Now, you know, I really don't like to say that, but that's a fact. And so when we don't do good, we all know who the ultimate total responsibility. And pro football, the guy that ultimately has the responsibility for paying the bills, makes the decision.
Then let me ask you, Coach, is Jerry Jones holding the Cowboys back from being great?
Well, this is a hard one because Jerry Jones, since he's owned the team, has won, what, 3 Super Bowls? So he has shown the ability to win Super Bowls. In terms of hiring different types of personalities, he did hire Bill Parcells. And to say that Jerry didn't give up some control to Bill Parcells, to me, I think is a pretty big stretch. But he at least has shown the ability to do that. As a coach, one of the things you're always looking for is the chance to have some type of continuity, to build a program. He's given Jason Garrett that opportunity. So from a coaching perspective, you're always looking for that, and he's done that. Do I think that him making all the decisions is the best use of his time? No, I don't think so. I think when you've got a lot of other business interests and a lot of other things that are taking your time and energy, it's hard for you to be on top of all the decisions that you need to be on top of as the GM, as the president, you know, and as the owner. So I think he's stretching himself that way. It's hard to blame Jerry exclusively for this because he has shown the ability to do a lot of positive things. So it's probably time to change.
Well, here's where I think we put too much at the feet of Jerry Jones. Let's just pretend there's 2 people here. Jerry Jones, the owner. We would all agree that person gets, essentially, if you removed all the, just as far as money puts in the team, as far as resources available to the team, patience with the coach, to your point, I think he's an A+ owner. I really believe that. Now let's go Jerry Jones, the GM. What is the job of a GM? The primary job is provide your coach with talented players, and if especially homegrown ones, retain them and keep them. Not to squander draft picks, not to give out a bunch of bad contracts. I think Jerry's done a really good job in that regard as well. Now, he also creates some distraction that I know that coaches probably have to deal with. There is a question of, well, not even a question of, the coach knows the buck doesn't stop with them, it stops with Jerry. So there is some undercutting there. But the problem with Jerry Jones is part of the solution, not the problem with the Dallas Cowboys. Look in the division. Bruce Allen is a part of the problem in Washington. I would argue Dave Gettleman is part of the problem with the New York Giants. Now, in Washington, you have what a lot of people consider to be the worst ownership situation in the league. In New York Giants, you have one of the best ownership situations in the league, and neither can overcome the GM situation they have. I just think we have unrealistic expectations for the Cowboys. The Cowboys are treated like the Yankees and the Lakers. They're not. The Yankees have been great in they just had their first decade ever without a World Series appearance, right? That was the big deal about the 2010s, is that they've been great every decade. The Cowboys were arguably, after Pittsburgh, the franchise of the 70s. And they were definitely the franchise of the 90s. NFL's having his 100th season. Like, the Lakers have been great every year, or every decade dating back to Minneapolis. We put the Cowboys up to an echelon that, to me, they have not earned, and therefore we hold everyone to a standard that, to me, is somewhat of an unfair one.
I actually think the Cowboys are where the Yankees are in baseball and the Lakers are in basketball. Like, they're one of the biggest franchises in
marketing-wise, no question.
No question. And they are a team like the Lakers, like the Yankees, that has fans throughout the country.
Yes.
And so I do expect more from them. And you mentioned the Lakers. I mean, remember, after Showtime, the Lakers had a drought, and then they had the three-peat. And then, you know, a few years later, Kobe wins a few rings. So I think the Cowboys, you got to expect more from them. And you're right. When he had Jimmy Johnson, and then Barry Switzer, he replaced him with, he won the 3 Super Bowls. But it's been 25 years since then. And what is the one common denominator in these 25 years of mediocrity? It's not the coach. It's not the players. It's not the front office. It's Jerry Jones. So I'm just saying, I agree with you. You want your owner to spend money and do some of the other things he does. But I do think, Jerry, if he changed things, to your point, Coach, and just step back, the best owners hire people that know what they're doing and let them do it. Look at the best franchises. New England. Yeah, we know about Robert Kraft and all that, but he's not getting all involved and talking after every game. In basketball, it's the San Antonio Spurs. Peter Holt, we don't know all this, see him a lot. I just think Jerry's too involved because he wants to win, but he wants to win his way, and he wants everybody to know it's his way, and I think that's part of the problem.
And it was hard in Oakland for a long time with Al Davis because Al was so knowledgeable. He was so involved. Coaches would go there, and he'd say, well, you can put your system in or you can do this. And then when it didn't go right early on, he went back to the Al Davis system. And look, he owned the team, so he had the right to do that. And it's the same thing with Jerry. I think the issue is with a GM, what you want to have as a head coach is the ability to have constructive conflict. You want to fight through issues. You want to disagree and get to.
You can't do that with the owner.
That's the real issue, Jenna. Is with the owner, you can owner/GM. You want to have conflict, but at the end of the day, you're going to do what he wants you to do. So you may not get to the right decision. You're just going to get to whatever decision Jerry wants.
I think that is, for both of you, I think it's a great point that you can't have the type of, not real fights, but the type of work fights that can lead to great outcomes the way you can when it's a more equitable relationship, even if there is one party that has more power, when one party has all the power. I agree with that. I'm not trying to sit here and act like I think it's the ideal situation, that if I were doing a Knicks list of best ownership situations in the NFL, the Cowboys would be at the top. My point is, they're certainly in the top half. Like you mentioned Al Davis. Al Davis, do you agree, was a huge net positive for the Oakland Raiders? Because I do. I think he wasn't
a huge net positive for the coaches that went to the Oakland Raiders.
Well,
I mean, it depends on where you.
I guess what era, what part of it. But I think that he's not Robert Kraft, right? Fair enough. Not the Rooneys or the Maras. Like I can understand that. But to me, there are so many worse options you could have than not only Jerry the owner, but also Jerry the GM. We cannot say Jerry's an incompetent GM. Might be demanding, might be overbearing.
Do you think he's a better GM than owner?
No. No. I don't think he's a better GM than owner, but I think he's a better GM than